So typically when we're here at WEFTEC, we are walking around the show floor, seeing some new technologies, new products, seeing what the different vendors in the market are showcasing. Ovivo took a very different approach this year with a workshop that took place on Sunday evening. And we're going to spend some time with Elena Bailey to understand a little bit of the thought process behind hosting that event. So Elena, what is the approach that you guys took this year?
One of the interesting things about us this year, we decided to focus on the customer needs. And so what we did is we decided to come up with a workshop that would not only look on the first 100 years of activated sludge, because it just so happened that by association, the inventors of activated sludge ended up working for Jones & Atwood, which is one of our companies that we own, but also look at what is the next 100 years, because we've been using activated sludge for the last 100 years. So the idea was, what are these new innovations that would actually change and shape our industry? So we came up with this workshop, From Nuisance to New Cash Flow, because we believe that in the next 100 years, we're not going to be treating wastewater. We're actually going to figure out a way to be more sustainable and make money out of wastewater and resource recovery, etc. So in order to figure that out, so what we did is we focused on our top 10 Ovivo customers, meaning the largest customers we have. And we went and asked the top level people what they thought the next challenges are going to be. Where are they going to focus on? And they came up with these 5 categories: water reuse, micropollutants and microconstituents, energy optimization, biosolids optimization, and resource recovery. So what we did is we basically put a panel together of 5 experts from all around the world. We actually even brought a speaker from Germany to address these 5 issues, but also show us what they think from their perspective on these 5 different issues. So we ended up getting Dr. Glenn Daiger from CH2M Hill, Dr. Stenstrom from UCLA, Ursula Schlimmsman from Fraunhofer, Dr. Charles Bod, who is actually from HRSD, and Jim Porteous from Ovivo. And what we did is, if you were to follow the thought process, how decisions are made, well, you get a customer who has a need, basically the end user, and that's what Dr. Bod represented. And then he says, okay, I want to develop something for resource recovery. So then he goes to university, which is what Dr. Stenstrom represents, and he says, okay, develop something. Then you go to applied science, which is what Ursula represents, comes up with a product, and then that's where Jim comes in, manufacturing technologies and making it into a real product that people can use and make things happen. And then you get like Dr. Daiger, who's going to come up with a system design from a consultant point of view and make it work provided to the end user. So the way we were set up, basically each one of these individuals had a topic. So Dr. Daiger ended up doing the first 100 years of activated sludge, and he did water reuse. And so he had 7 minutes to basically address from his point of view, meaning as a consultant, what he thought would be the way of the future. Then we went 1 minute each one of the other speakers. So Dr. Bod talked about it from an owner's point of view, Dr. Stenstrom from a university point of view, Dr. Ursula from applied science, Jim, what technologies we have, and we just went around the room, and then the next time, the next guy talked about another topic for 7 minutes, and then the other guys gave feedback. It was a very fast pace. And probably what was more unique than anything else is they talked about technologies that they're not necessarily Ovivo technologies. They could be an exciting thing from a competitor of ours, or something that has not even been addressed yet, or something from another industry that we hope would be applicable in our industry. And that's what made it so different. Very exciting. I would say from my point of view, we've been doing this 17 years. Normally we had about 200 to 250 customers come in. This year we had 350 customers. And what was very different, I think, is not because we did not have as many consultants. We had so many end users. We had 70% of the attendees were end users. So it looks to me that a lot of our owners are very interested in these issues, not just the big customers of Ovivo. They want to figure out how to reuse water and forget about basically saying we're not going to reuse water. resource recovery, the biosolids, the energy. So I really think truly we are in the cusp of doing something very different for the industry. And the next, hopefully 10, 20 years will be another opportunity like our ancestors did 100 years ago for activated sludge. That's a little bit of where we are today.
How diverse were the various different opinions that were shared in a single minute per person?
That's very interesting. Well, like for example, if you talked about the water reuse, it was very clear that everybody thinks that is perception is reality. So even though Dr. Stenstrom talked about it from a California point of view, because that's where he teaches, and Jim talked about it from a Texas point of view, because that's where we live in Texas, it was actually very, very much similar. But then you talk to Ursula from Germany, and then she says, we got lots of water in Germany, we don't need that. However, we have issues with micropollutants. So the technologies we're using for micropollutants, they could work for you for reuse. So it was very interesting. And Dr. Bott obviously had a different opinion. It was really very interesting because their perspective, they come from a different point of view. But the needs are the same, but the technologies they presented a lot of times had nothing to do with each other. It was completely different. And that was the whole concept, is to definitely give a different perspective. And it worked really effectively. I think it did.
Well, like you say, it was a great moment to look back on 100 years of activated sludge history and then think forward 100 years also. Yep. So thank you very much for sharing this workshop, and we really look forward to hearing kind of like where these ideas evolve in the years ahead.
I'm hoping that next year we can say, okay, now we're going to focus on these ideas, and then the year after that on these ideas, and maybe in 10 years from now I'll be sitting here and you'll be looking back at this video and say, oh yeah, they talked about it 10 years ago. So I'm pretty excited, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys today.
Great. Well,
all right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.